new family members.
Eight, seven.
Thanks for tuning into this week's episode of Hitting the Field. I'm your host, Mark Tavilla, and not Jeff Janis. And today we'll be previewing the World Series, breaking down some NBA drama, and we'll be recapping the week 7 of the NFL. Apologize. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated chance, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back, okay? Always locked in, I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.
Guys, welcome back to another episode of Hitting the Field. I'm your host, Mark Tavilla, and for this beginning segment, I am joined by Jarrett Kaufman. Jarrett, how you doing, man?
How you doing, man? I'm doing great, another great week of sports, and we're getting into the World Series, best time of the year.
Awesome, man. Well, let's get into it then. It's that time of year again, the World Series, where legends are born and champions are created. My Boston Red Sox will take on the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are back for a second straight year. I love this time of year, dude. Anyway, Jarrett, what are your first impressions of this matchup, I gotta say?
I really like it. I really wanted Red Sox Brewers, but I think this was the next best possibility we could have got. A stat, according to Jeremy Brenner's Twitter, they were 16 and a half games apart, their record in the regular season. That's the largest since 1932 when the Yankees were 17 games in front of the Cubs, in which they swept them. Mm-hmm. So on paper, the Red Sox should win this, but the experience is there. The Dodgers were there last year. They were 1 game away in their home stadium, but we all know the Astros came in there and took care of the business. But realistically, this should be a 5-game series for the Red Sox.
Statistically, it's the series is for the Red Sox to lose. With the way that they've been performing on the road, with winning, they're undefeated on the road actually this postseason.
This season,
so on paper, they shouldn't have a problem against the Dodgers, but it's World Series, it's baseball. You never know what's going to happen. Well, let's go through each team and see the areas at which they have an advantage in. Jarrett, who has the better pitching?
Better pitching, starters, I really like the Red Sox. I really like, especially if Price is going to pitch the way that he just pitched in Houston, because you have Sale, Price, then you got Eovaldi, Purcell, whoever they wish to start. I mean, you got Eovaldi pumping 102. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they're going to use him as a reliever starter, but I really like that. But relief pitching, it's what's going to win your games. Late in games, you got to go to the bullpen. That's why I like the Dodgers. I like Jansen way more than I like Kimbrel. Mm-hmm. That's just if you look off this postseason. Every single time Kimbrel comes in, are you thinking, oh, my God, we're winning this game?
It's just when it comes to postseason, it's just it's whatever you can fulfill a role. Whatever role you can fulfill better. Obviously, Kimbrel has, not been showcasing his just dominance that he used to. And Kershaw, obviously, is starting to actually show some sort of prowess in the postseason, even, given his track record. It's impressive. So who do you think is the better hitting department? Who do you think has the better hitting department?
So I'm going to take the Red Sox. The Red Sox have only struck out 67 times, and the Dodgers have struck out 117 times. So they're averaging about 11 strikeouts a game, which if you're 11 of your 21 strikeouts, 11 of your 21 outs aren't even putting the ball in play. You're not making opportunities for the game. You're just throwing it away. But they're hitting 253, the Red Sox. The Dodgers are hitting 218. Yes, the AL is more of a hitting league. The NL is more of a pitching league. I like the bats. My big question is going to be when the Red Sox go over to L.A. The talks have been Mookie's going to play second base, Brock Holt's going to play second base, JD's going to play first base, JD's going to play right field. that's going to be the big question mark, because I think the Red Sox need to keep Bradley, Benintendi, and Book and Betts still in their lineup. It's just a matter of where.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's crazy how the Red Sox are able to keep these role players, and they're able to compete and able to put up the RBIs and the runs that the team needs to be able to win when JD and Mookie aren't doing what they're supposed to do. Yeah. It's amazing. Now, who would you say is the better manager out of the two, the Dodgers or the Red Sox?
I'm just going to take experience and go Dave Roberts here. He's been there before. He's been managing much longer. This is Cora's first year. Very impressive in general. But I'm going to have to take the experience here and just go Dave Roberts knows what he's doing in these situations.
Alex Cora's been proving that he knows what he's doing, but obviously if you have someone that just was in the World Series last year, they're going to be able to compete. There's always that one player or two that step up when the lights are on bright. Who do you think that player is on each team, Jarrett?
I'm going to take Max Muncy on the Dodgers. He's really been their breakout player this year, and I think if they're looking to do things in this World Series, I think he's going to be the X factor. And then for the Red Sox, I'm going to have to go Brock Holt. It's always that unsuspected player. Brock Holt, he hit the cycle in Game 3 against the Yankees, so I'm looking for him to step up here, especially if he's going to be playing second base when they're in the NL.
Yep. Who do you think is going to win? Just need a quick answer. Who do you think? There we go.
Boston in 5, baby.
All right. Well, before we end the segment, I just want to say thank you to Jarrett. And guys, I want you to stay tuned. And that's all the time we have for this segment. So we'll be back for some more NBA and Week 7 of NFL. Stick around, guys.
Today, when you have multiple devices at your fingertips, wouldn't it be great if you could run the software you need on all of them? Well, now you can. UCF Apps is a new and innovative way for you to access the applications that you need to get your coursework done from any PC, Mac, tablet, or smartphone. For more information or to give your input on UCF Apps, go to apps.ucf.edu. What are you waiting for? Start using UCF Apps today.
Do you like sports? Do you like reading about sports? Then we got a sports blog just for you. Stay on my peripherals. That's not far. Hitting the field.
The first student-run sports blog.
For sports fans.
By sports fans.
See, it's all about the product shot.
Where do you want me to stand?
Don't talk though. I want them to see the whole.
Hitting the field. We cover football. We cover basketball. And so much more.
He's out. By sports reporters. And Meech.
What up? Watch the show and read the sports blog. Hitting the
field.
Today, when you have multiple devices at your fingertips, wouldn't it be great if you could run the software you need on all of them? Well, now you can. UCF Apps is a new and innovative way for you to access the applications that you need to get your coursework done from any PC, Mac, tablet, or smartphone. For more information or to give your input on UCF Apps, go to apps.ucf.edu. What are you waiting for? Start using UCF Apps today.
Welcome back to Hitting the Field. Joining me on the set is HTF veteran Troy Alford. Making his debut is Kyle Partain. Kyle, how you doing?
Dude, I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here and excited to get down to the action.
Awesome, man. Troy, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. You know I'm always good. I'm ready.
Ready, dude?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get to it. The NBA season has gotten underway, and not 1 week has gone by into the season, and we've already had a huge melee on our hands. CP3 and Rajon Rondo started throwing hands towards the end of the fourth quarter after Brandon Ingram initiated it by shoving James Harden after a foul and getting into the ref's face, and Rondo allegedly spit in Paul's face. In terms of suspensions, Ingram got 4 games, Rondo received a 3-game suspension, and Paul was handed only a 2-game suspension. So Troy, did the NBA get it right, and is the fighting a good look for the NBA?
I believe from their perspective they got it right. I mean, obviously Ingram deserved the 4-game suspension for starting with pushing Harden, then following up with a thrown punch. That was poor judgment and a complete meltdown on his part. The gray area comes in with the spitting incident. Was it incidental? Was it on purpose? We don't know. But we did see something in the video So Rondo getting the 3-game suspension was okay because, like I said, the spitting thing happened. And Chris Paul reacting to being spitted on, by poking him in the face was resulted in 2 games. So I guess from their perspective, it's okay. And is it a good look for the NBA? Obviously, violence is never a good look. But, I mean, as a man, when things like that happen, you got to do what you got to do. If you feel like someone spit on you, you're going to react. And if someone's putting their finger in your face, you're going to react. So that's just what that is.
No, when you got people like you got star power in the NBA, you got these dominant players that had to work their way all the way through. They're just challenging each other. You're not going to have someone just like completely just fall to someone poking them in the eye.
Exactly.
If you're Rondo, you're probably going to throw hands.
Yeah.
Just the way it is. Kyle, what do you think, man?
Well, listen, anytime there's some kind of incident or a brawl or melee, whatever you want to call it, there has to be action taken by the league. So obviously it's good for them to hand out suspensions 4, 3, and 2 respectively. At the end of the day, these suspensions really aren't going to matter that much. We're talking about an 82-game season and only a handful of suspensions. So really this doesn't change the output for any of these teams. Now, as for whether it's a good look for the league or not, I think it's surprisingly good. I mean, we always give grief to these NBA players in particular about how much they talk. They just talk. They don't actually back it up. They talk trash. They say, hey, let's fight, and it never happens. But now we've actually got something, and they just handed the NBA free marketing material for this rematch. I mean, think about the story and the intrigue this adds for future matchups between these two teams. The NBA dealt with it, handed out their suspensions. They look great. And then the same thing for the hype for the next match. I mean, that's free publicity, free marketing, free advertising for these two teams.
But Cal, is it really going to last that long? Like, is this going to be a running narrative throughout the season? I doubt it.
Listen,
I mean, they're going to play again, but I don't think it's going to become something serious. Like, Adam Silver's going to step in. He's going to say, guys, calm down. This doesn't need to continue. And I think that's what's going to happen eventually.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily an issue that the NBA is going to want to drag out, but the media, you can be sure the media is going to want to drag this out for publicity.
Trust me, this is going to be done by the time March rolls around. This is going to be done.
All I know is that they're probably going to have something about Chris Paul finding another secret tunnel to help take down somebody in the locker room. So let's get to a more positive side of the action. A lot of teams and players have made big impressions this early in the season. Out of everything we've seen during the first several days, who's made the biggest impression? Kyle, I'm going to start with you.
Well, obviously it's a pretty young season so far. It's only been a week. But out of the teams and players we've seen, I'd have to go with Anthony Davis from New Orleans. I think he's playing spectacular ball. I mean, we've all known he's a future Hall of Famer, all-star talent. This dude's insane. But right now he's just playing on another level. He's averaging 28.5 points a game, 13 rebounds, and 7 assists, I believe. No, 2.5 blocks and 7 assists, leading the team in both rebounds and blocks. So, I mean, that's incredible. We're talking about, and he's not even, I don't know, he's basically the only guy for the Pelicans. I mean, we're looking around, he's not surrounded by an all-star cast. This dude's putting the team on his back, and he's making New Orleans one of the most fun teams to watch in the West. I mean, they've blown out their opponents, including the Rockets, who are one of the most talented teams in the league. And for that reason alone, I think that New Orleans and not Golden State's actually the most entertaining and hottest team to watch right now.
It's interesting to add something to the West, too, because, every year we end up seeing the Warriors make it anyway. So hopefully we get to see a little bit of action, going into the postseason maybe. Obviously it's early, but we'll see what happens. Troy, what do you think?
Like you said, and like Kyle said, obviously it's early, but I'm going to go with Kawhi Leonard out of Toronto. He's showing that he's in a new situation, he's in a new system, he can be the leader, and he can be a top 3 player. I mean, he's only played 2 games, but he dropped 30, then he dropped, I believe, 25, had a double-double in both games. So he's playing well, and I think he's going to be a key piece going throughout the season.
No, it's funny. It's just having, especially in the situation that Kawhi was, having to be shipped off to Toronto.
He's showing that, look, I'm the guy. I want my shoe deal. I want my max contract. I'm here. And I think that's what he's showing. And I think that's a preview for what we're going to see.
No, it's just like everyone forgets how good Kawhi was.
Yeah.
How dominant he was in the
Exactly.
league.
Yeah, no one's denying Kawhi is one of the most talented players in the league right now. You'd be ignorant to say that. But obviously health concerns are the biggest issue with Kawhi. I mean, he's had these problems in the past. One little tweak, something goes wrong, and his whole season could be done in Toronto. I don't know if I trust his health. That's what it comes down to. So if we're talking about this week, in the first week of the season, yeah, he's been one of those star performances so far.
It's early, Cal, so we got a lot more basketball to play, a lot more to see. So,
Well, this year's draft class is the hype of being one of the best we've seen in quite some time, and some of the rookies are already making their mark, like Donovan Mitchell, Ben Simmons, Jason Tatum, and Kyle Kuzma did last season, just to name a few. Which rookie this season has been the most impressive thus far? Troy?
Like I said, we're early in the season, but I'm gonna go with Luka Doncic. he's playing well. I didn't think he would play well with DSJ because he's a dominant player with the ball. And DSJ, he's a point guard. He needs the ball in his hands. But Luka's playing the 3 in the league. He's playing pretty well. He played pretty well against Ariza the first game. He dropped, 26 in his second game. But that was a 134-point game they put up. So his numbers might be inflated. So, like I said, it's early in the season. We don't know much. I want to go with DeAndre Ayton, too, but he played terrible against the Nuggets, and he got dominated by Jokic. So I don't really know. But Luka's playing well.
Kyle, what do you think?
I want to give a couple shout-outs first to DeAndre Ayton and Mo Bamba. I think they're going to have stellar seasons. They're going to be possibly the futures of their franchises. But if we're going based off the first week, I kind of agree. I have to go with Luka Doncic. He's averaging, I think, 18 points a game, which is leading. And not to mention, the biggest thing we should be talking about for these rookies is at this point in the season, most rookies are filling roles off the bench. They're not necessarily all starting, so they're filling in minutes. They're trying to make their mark on the team, earn their spot. Doncic got thrown into the starting position, and he's leading the team in points. And to me, that's incredible. And I didn't want to buy too much stock into him early on in the season because, again, you don't want to do that with any player, really.
Impressive displays from both of them. It's really something. So finally, some off-the-court business that needs to be discussed. Recently, the NBA was hit with an impasse on dropping the one-and-done rule in college basketball. So instead, they came up with allowing elite high school players to skip college and go to the G League instead, and will get a $125,000 contract. Kyle, in a quick answer, is this a good compromise?
It's a good idea, bad compromise. I think it's a slippery slope, and eventually more players are going to go into that G League than should be, and it's going to just diminish the quality of both college and NBA.
Troy, what do you think?
It's a progressive move by the NBA, and I believe this is something we're going to have to see pan out. We're going to have to sit back and watch and see what happens. It's an experiment by the NBA, and only time will tell.
Yep. All right. Well, that's all the time we have for NBA action, but when we return, we'll be discussing the good old pigskin. Stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. Let's go ahead and get straight into the NFL. Ever since the Jaguars have beaten the Patriots, their season has since been an atrocity, to say the least. Blake Bortles has just been incompetent as the Jags quarterback. The defense isn't as good, giving up 30 points to the Chiefs, 40 to the Cowboys, and we're down 20-zip before Bortles even got benched. After the game, there was a heated argument in the locker room, forcing the media to leave and wait outside. Kyle, what's going on in Jacksonville, man?
Dude, it's total dysfunction. No, I mean, growing up in Jacksonville, this is actually exactly what I'd expect from the Jags. I've watched this team for years, and every time they seem to have a high point, it always goes downhill. They seem to lay eggs, and in this case, they're just laying consecutive eggs over and over and over again. And really, the root of the problem is obviously Blake Bortles. I like the guy. He's a great college quarterback, but we have to face the fact he's in his 5th season. He's just not a good NFL quarterback. He's thrown, I believe, 9 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and lost 4 fumbles. That's ridiculous for someone in his 5th season. He's making fundamental errors with his footwork, his decision-making, and it's just, he's not improving, and that's the problem the Jags are facing. They bought out his contract, they extended his contract, so they're stuck with him. Obviously, this doesn't help that Fournette and Yeldon are suffering from lagging injuries to hamstring and ankle, so the offense has to rely on Bortles, and he's just not capable of carrying the team. And this is leading to 3-and-outs, and there's more 3-and-outs than not, which is going to impact your defense when they're on the field for 60-70% of the game. And I mean, we're seeing 2 things with the defense. They're getting worn down from the games, and they're also, honestly, I think they're probably a little bit angry with the offense. How can you blame them if they have to carry the load? And it's a situation that no one wants to be in.
I get you, Troy. What do you think?
Facts. I agree with Kyle totally. Their defense is out there too long, and their defense is still getting dominated. Guys dropping 40 points, 20 points, 30 points on these guys. It's terrible. Blake Bortles is tough to watch. Okay. Seeing him fumble and throw interceptions, that is bad football. But the Jaguars got to figure it out. And also, these guys haven't had over 90 yards rushing in any game. That is terrible. I mean, and that just shows you how important Leonard Fournette is.
Just showcases how important not being injured is.
Yep.
It's just that's the way the football is, though.
Yep.
As is every season, coaching seats begin to get hotter and hotter as to whether or not they will keep their job when the season comes to an end. Which coach's seat is currently the hottest at this point? Troy, what do you think?
Look, I got Jason Garrett. And he's only been to the playoffs twice since 2011. That's terrible. This is America's team, right? And I think Jason should be gone, but essentially Jerry Jones is not going to do it. He's not going to do it, and he just needs to be out of here.
It's just the coaching decision. It's like, you know, like you got people like Jason Garrett. I don't know how much of the situation was when they had to move out Romo from the situation and put in Dak.
But I mean, he's had Dak for what, 3 seasons now? Made the playoffs once. They're struggling out the gate this year. They had a Cinderella season last year. What 2 seasons ago? Yeah. So Jason needs to go.
What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, listen, I agree. It's Jason Garrett. He's had so many issues with this team. He can't get them past, I guess, average would be the proper term for these guys. He's 1-2 in the playoffs in the past couple of years, and if you're, like Troy said, if you're America's team, you got to be able to do better than that. And it's not that he hasn't had talent. He's had people like DeMarco Murray, J.J. Wilcox, Ezekiel Elliott now. I mean,
exactly. And
he's got the talent.
We always get the narrative that they don't have a secondary.
That's true. That's true.
When are we going to question Jason? You know?
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's just at this point, I think Garrett's playing with fire. I mean, he's been so average for so long for this powerful franchise, and he's about to get burned. This might be his last season in Dallas.
We're going to see what happens. Well, while there's just some terrible quarterback play like Blake Bortles, Nathan Peterman, and Eli Manning, 2 quarterbacks have really stood out this season, and Drew Brees and Patrick Mahomes. 2 different playing styles, and both are in different stages of their careers. Kyle, which one of these great quarterbacks has stood out the most to you?
If we're talking about standing out, it's got to be Mahomes. And it's not for a fact that Drew Brees hasn't been impressive. It's just he's a future Hall of Famer, and this is the kind of season we expect from him. So this is routine, in my opinion. Mahomes, he's new, he's fresh. We saw the same thing with Kareem Hunt last year in the beginning of the season. He tore up scoreboards. He lit up scoreboards and tore up the headlines. Now he's still putting up good numbers, but it's just not news. And we're kind of seeing that with Mahomes in his first season. He's thrown 22 touchdowns, so that's incredible. And there's some pretty amazing throws on the run. So I have to say, just because of the whole new factor, Mahomes is the standout guy.
No, it's amazing what the numbers he's putting up against teams like the Patriots. Yeah. He's giving them a run for money. Troy, what do you think?
Look, Drew Brees is a bona fide stud, as Stephen A. would say. He's a Hall of Famer. But Pat Mahomes is the new kid on the block. And that new kid on the block, you know, he comes in with the new shoes, the new style, everything, and he's fresh. But he's backing it up with his play. And, you know, as game tape gets around the league, we're going to really see if Mahomes is the real deal. But as of right now, as of week 7, going on week 8, he's playing well. He's really balling.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Doing good. Well, now it's time for a fairly new segment. It's called Don't At Me, where panelists drop their hottest takes in order to set a fire on the show. Troy, we'll start with you. Fire it up.
I got the Rams going out in the divisional round.
Really?
I think they're all hype. That's my hot take. They're all hype.
Even with the complete package, it seems like they have.
Yeah, they're all hype. They're going to go out divisional round. That's my hot take.
Who's going to beat them?
We'll figure it out. We'll see.
All right.
But that's my hot take.
Who do you say? No, who do you think right now?
Honestly, I have no idea. It depends on who they play out of the South. So,
all right.
They play the Panthers or something like that. I can see that happening. See them going out.
All right. Kyle, what do you think? What's your hot take, man?
The Baltimore Ravens are going to the AFC Championship game. A lot of people are thinking, what's going on here? This is a bad take, but let me explain. That is a solid defense, and we've seen in the past with Denver and Seattle, solid defenses beat flashy offenses. So
yeah, but can they rely on Joe Flacco to come through?
That's the thing is you don't have to have an elite offense to do this. We saw this a couple of years ago with Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl. He was not the Peyton Manning of great, but they had that unbelievable defense.
Facts.
And old school, hard fashion defense wins championships. We've seen it with Seattle and Denver, and Baltimore's going to do the same thing. 26 sacks, 5 interceptions, forced fumble. That's pretty stellar at this point in the season, and I just think Baltimore cruises. They beat flashy teams like the Chargers, like the Chiefs, and eventually this run's going to come to an end in Foxborough, though.
It's just
that's a hot take, bro. I don't see that happening, though.
Yeah, that's hot. It's a staple of football, though. You see defenses being able to make it far no matter what. Like I mean, last year they're not putting up the numbers that they did this year, but Jacksonville, like they have Blake Bortles, who is like, he's always up and down and
they were
everything,
one
but they have
quarter.
this incredibly dominant defense, and they're
one
putting up
quarter
the
away
numbers
from the
that they
Super
had.
Bowl.
Yeah, they were one fumble return touchdown taken back from getting to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
just how it
saying.
works
Defenses
sometimes, man.
win championships. I know it's cliche, but that's just how it is. So
Facts.
Well, those takes were definitely very hot, I got to say. Well, that's all the time we have for the NFL, but when we return, I got to say something about the disrespect that UCF continues to get from the polls and so-called analysts. You're not going to want to miss this, guys.
Do you like sports? Do you like reading about sports? Then we got a sports blog just for you. Stay on my peripherals. That's not far. Hitting the field.
The first student-run sports blog.
For sports fans.
By sports fans.
See, it's all about the product shot.
Where do you want me to stand?
Don't talk though. I want them to see the whole.
Hitting the field. We cover football. We cover basketball. And so much more.
He's out. By sports reporters and Meech.
What up? Watch the show and read the sports blog. Hitting the
Field.
So let's not beat around the bush here. You all knew what was coming. UCF football has won its 20th straight game, and for the second week in a row, the Knights have stayed stagnant in the AP poll, staying ranked at number 10. I mean, I can understand how Oklahoma and Florida jumped us, though. I mean, BYE is always a tough matchup on the road, and the fact that both programs were able to get out of there with a win is something special. But regardless, UCF isn't going to catch a break from the doubters. And at this point, even College Game Day isn't giving us the time of day. Kirk Herbstreit played us down last Saturday, discussing our strength of schedule and going as far as to say that Fresno State and Appalachian State have more impressive resumes this season. Who cares about a team that has remained undefeated for a season and a half, right? It's time to chill with the blatant Power 5 propaganda. We don't get the credit we deserve, period. You want us to schedule stronger opponents? Then accept our requests. We're trying to add you guys to the beatdown, but no one wants to risk playing a team from a lesser conference, the lesser conference, that could ruin your playoff chances. But honestly, keep talking about us. As long as we stay in the heads of the big voices for college football, they won't be able to ignore our unbeaten record forever. Just keep sticking to the script, Kirk. We're going to shut you and the rest of the nation up eventually. By the way, sorry about that tough loss for your alma mater. Must be a quality loss for Ohio State, though, especially against a Purdue team that lost to a horrifying Eastern Michigan football program. But you can't predict matchups based on the previous games, right? I don't know. Well, that's all the time we have for Hitting the Field, guys. Just want to thank you guys for tuning in. Follow our Instagram. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on Twitter. And, yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's a great show.
I felt you on that one. Like,
man, it's the
Thank you,
disrespect.
dude.
The
You hit me right
disrespect's it's pretty real. It's getting.
I mean, like, what do you guys think about?
Listen, I think we're 7 to 9, somewhere in that range. 7 to 9. I don't see how a team like Texas, who lost to Maryland, could be ranked in front of UCF.
how does Florida jump us, man?
Oh man,
It doesn't make any sense, dude. No.
bye week,
Crazy.
No, it really doesn't make any sense, dude. It's ridiculous at this point.
I don't
It's
know.
just like we're never going to get respect until either
No,
we
and
leave the conference,
and the
which at this point I don't
CFP
even know if that's the best decision.
Yeah.
What, to leave
And
the
I mean, the
conference?
CFP poll comes out this coming
To go
week,
where,
so-
though?
Exactly. No one wants us. First off,
True.
no, we try to figure it out. No one wants to schedule us because they think that we're just this like I don't know.
Once in a while, they may have a good streak of,
See you guys.
Martínez, quien comenzó a buscar fuentes de sostenibilidad para conseguir